Hi everyone. My name's Jocelyn, and I don't know. The last day or two, I've been really contemplating something regarding my whole print-on-demand since 2005 changing landscape. So it's I the reason I started really thinking about this is that I've had a Zazzle shop called Natural Design since 2005. So literally, I discovered it by I used to be a member of an art group online, a forum called Wet Canvas years ago. Like I haven't been there since 2010. And then I think it was probably 2005, might have been 2008 actually, I could be wrong, but it's before 2010. A person came on and basically in our debate forum or maybe our marketing forum on that site and mentioned the site Zazzle to us. So print on demand was kind of sort of a newish concept. I mean, there was always cafe press, but I never investigated cafe press, and I think it's fairly old, maybe 2001. But anyway, I did show some interest in Zazzle. They didn't have very many products. They had like basic, plain, ugly tote bags that you could only print DTG on, and it faded pretty quick after. It was a very small image, like I'm talking tiny. And you could print greeting cards and some posters and stuff. But I didn't have very good photos of my previous art paintings, and I didn't feel like after having sold these original paintings that I felt right about now taking an image that I had shot of it and having it printed and selling that, because my buyers expected to buy an original piece of art, not something I was going to make copies of later on. That's just, as an artist, that's just how I felt at the time, and I still kind of do. I keep my real art, my paintings, my still life, my portraits all separate. So print on demand, I entered more with an idea of, oh, let's edit my photos and make something kind of cool and designy. So whatever, I started doing stuff like that. And on Zazzle in 2000 and probably 12 or 14, I ended up with this very classic black rose fade out wedding invitation. And I've probably sold like 18,000 copies of it up until this January. So it was a staple product for me. I mean, I've never made a ton in print on demand. I have never made a ton because it's always been a secondary income. I don't have a lot of time to design. It takes a long time. And my main focus as an artist has always been painting. So I do a lot of still life. I used to do a ton of portrait commissions, but I that was more when I was younger. I had little kids, they were in school. I worked at the bank part-time. I did portraits like side as a side job. I always kept my art as a side job because it took the stress off being creative. I didn't feel like, oh my God, I have to earn like 45,000 a year. I have to, right? As an income. I never stressed over that with my art. It was always a secondary income. But anyway, long story short, I also discovered Printify, Printful, Art of Wear, which is a Canadian print on demand. They're awesome. I love them. Their quality is hard to beat, especially their leggings. And yes, they take a little longer. They're a very small cut and sew studio, very intimate, small. They do get a little bit overwhelmed at times, and their turnaround can be slower, but they're very fussy, and they're in Quebec, Montreal, Quebec. So I deal a lot with them. I deal a lot with MWW in the US through Printify. I love most of their products are great. I've been dealing with them for my shower curtains since 2016. Now some of my table linens, I deal with them. Um, I have dealt with a lot of Asian and Chinese print on demand places, but I don't have a lot of success selling that stuff for some reason. I guess there's an aversion because it's made in China. But the quality has usually been like superior, especially the amount of variety of products is amazing. I still wear some of the clothing I bought like 6 years ago from Cow Cow, which I think went defunct with the tariffs. But anyway, my main point about this is that the landscape has super changed, especially with tariffs. and stuff for small businesses. Because I also have another Etsy shop for my original sculptures. I do some custom stuff. I sell one-of-a-kind bird and animal pieces and jewelry. And in 2022, I was full-time a corporate for a major commercial insurance firm in Toronto. I was a receptionist. So a soft skill job, but it was a tough job. It was hard. And in 2022, my husband and I decided we're kind of had enough of this. My husband was over 60, so he was getting close to having a retirement income, like a fixed income. He's a full-time painter and does sell a very expensive piece of art every couple of years. But so when we moved up north, I was making pretty good money with Zazzle, Redbubble, and Society6. And I also had my Etsy shops. So I felt like, for maybe 400-500 a month, I'm going to cover our bills, our utility bills, and pay towards our home, our taxes and insurance and stuff. And just after we moved, wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden, my sales on Zazzle, boom, down. The invitation that was selling all the time stopped. These are timeless designs. They're not trendy, like they're going to be okay for a year and then you got to think of something new. No, they're timeless designs. My Redbubble, I had a couple big selling items, stopped right after we moved. And I had counted on, like I had silly enough, counted on this income to help with stuff. Because we were basically living off the proceeds, savings from selling our condo and buying a house that was much cheaper than what we sold. Can't really live on savings income forever, right? It doesn't leave a lot of room for emergencies, like the huge tree we've had to take down this year and the new vehicle we had to buy and my daughter's wedding. So anyway, that's not the point. The point is this whole landscape's changing. And I woke up this morning going, oh my God, I can't rely on this anymore. Like it's, I do one workshop a year. I teach a workshop in portrait drawing. I do the odd sale of a piece of artwork or whatever, but Society6 finally kicked me out. They kept me for a while, and then I guess because I wasn't using social media enough to push myself, which no. Dump me. Get rid of me. Same with Redbubble. It's not really bringing in the 80 to $100 a month for me. It used to. Zazzle, I used to make like $100 a month, 150. I make $50 every 3 months. So all my plans, right after we moved, and I quit my job, we moved 2.5 hours up north. Tariffs don't help either with my clay shop, but I try to ride with it. I try to ride the roller coaster, but it's getting tougher. And I'm 60. So, I'm getting closer to a fixed income. I chose not to take my CPP yet, which is the Canada pension plan that I paid into. And I only worked full time for 10 years at the end of my working in the corporate world career. So I don't have a ton of CPP. Like some other people have the maximum. I won't have the maximum. So anyway, that's my little story, and I have to decide. I guess I've been painting more, and I'm saying to print on demand for many reasons that I won't even get into here. I think for me, it's kind of seen its day. I think, sadly, because I did like it, but it was much easier for me to sit and do that than paint. Painting is much more challenging, and it's been my love since I was a child, so I've gone back to seriously painting portraits and just, not worrying about making money with it. But, anyhow, thanks for listening.